I just want a confirmation, guys, because without confirmation, it will be like if I know whatever I thought, like I'll be knowing something, and then I thought you guys already know it, and then I'm moving, so it will be endless thing, or even it won't be fruitful for you and for me as well. So just want a confirmation that. Yeah, please go ahead. Until you guys responded, I won't be starting it because no, right. Yesterday, something was mentioned. Some repeat. We have to repeat one more time about this. And even I've always been asking, like, for end of the any of the concept, right? I'm asking a question. You please raise your flag, and then ask me questions if you have. And even it's a reasonable ask if we don't get understand at one time. Of course, I really tell you. Um, Sometimes it will be difficult for few people because when they start their career or if it is new to them, they'll be somewhat confused also. Okay. Hey, Kaushik, it's clear. Okay, fine. And how about others? Okay, fine. I just a little bit time spending. One more time, I'll be repeating it about the Jenkins pipeline part. Okay, just a minute. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. I hope it's visible. And you can able to see this. Yeah. So the thing is, instead of relying some other tutorial or any of the blogs to create a pipeline, not only for the Jenkins I'm referring, always go to the, the actual source documentation. For example, this is a Jenkins documentation on website where we can get a actual original information. Okay, instead of relying on someone blogs, of course we can refer those blogs and articles if you have any questions or if you are looking for any other alternative to do something. Okay, but in our case, right, let's understand how this works. This is a thing, right? So I always prefer go to the respective documentation and try to understand. That would help a lot, and then that will help us to clear a lot of things. Okay. So here also we will go to the documentation because I'll also do the same thing. If I'm learning some other groovy language or if I'm learning some other MuleSoft or some other software, right? What I do is I'll go to the website where the actual content was provided. Here also we'll do the same thing. Now we are talking about the pipelines, right? There is a plenty of good documentation about the Jenkins, and even this is how I have learned also. When I started learning about the Jenkins, right? That was been the documentation was not matured like to understand easily about the pipeline. It has a lot of things. Now they have made it as easy, like like how the syntax would be, what are all the things, everything will be appeared here itself. Okay. Okay. Please know how to create a script by using a pipeline, syntax in Jenkins. Yeah, this is right. This is what we are going to start, Sandeep. See, the syntax, see, simple. I don't know what you meant by syntax here. The one what we are going to write is always a pipeline. Everything will have a syntax now. So now we will understand line by line, each of the line by line here. Okay, don't worry about it. So it's sometimes you have to accept if it is a new, you have to accept it is a new, and then we have to learn. Okay, you have to start writing. This kind of a fear you will have until you start writing and fail it. Okay, once you fail it, you'll get a habit. Okay, this is my line. I mean, this one I already know it. Let's start another one. So something we will be having it out. Okay, so you have to accept it, to be frank. Okay, I mean, this kind of a fear we'll have when we are learning any of the coding tool. Okay, even for Java or Python, something we'll have it. Okay, Let's understand the structure of a pipeline it will have. Okay, see, as I mentioned here, the let me share it here. One. Instead of writing directly into the this one, this is your pipeline, meaning this is your scripted. I mean, this is your anything. It's scripted pipeline or declarative pipeline. First, let me put a definition of a pipeline here. The pipeline, I mean, in Jenkins, in general, there are types of jobs that we can create it. The job is represents a series of steps that you would be running via Jenkins. Okay, if it is a freestyle job, or the freestyle job means the steps will be involved from a different aspects or different areas. For example, the freestyle job involves a different phases. The phases are the general information, source code management, configuration, build information, post build actions. These are the some of the phases which involves. Okay, these are all you would be creating a freestyle job through UI, not through code it. This is the freestyle job. And the second one is pipeline of it. Pipeline is meaning the pipeline is you would be writing a pipeline job in Jenkins via code. Code means a script. A script means, again, it's not a shell script. It's a groovy. Okay, it's a groovy script. Okay, and you would write this groovy script in two ways. One is a declarative script, another one is a scripted pipeline. Meaning, what does it mean is these are the two different ways that you can write a pipeline. Let me put it this way. This is a job here, meaning when you launch a Jenkins job, or when you launch a Jenkins job here, right, you would be creating a freestyle job. This is what I'm talking about it. Okay, this is a job we in general will call. This involves a lot of steps. That steps are configuring the general information, configuring the source code information, configuring the build environment, configuring the build setup, configuring the post message. I mean, post build actions also. These are all you would be configuring through UI, not through any of the code. Okay, meaning you would write, you would access this one, you will fill this, and then click on this. Okay, and then you will fill all the information, whatever the phases it has been required. Okay, this is a job. If someone asks you to what exactly the job definition means, you can mention what are all these 5 or 6 phases we have, right? You have to explain what are all these 6 steps is, what exactly the purpose of also here. Okay, you have to explain that. This is a job that you do create. This in this job, what we do call it as, this is a freestyle job. Okay, freestyle job. And there is a another job type is called, there is another type called pipeline. Yeah, forget about multi-branch and everything, whatever it is showing. Just think about it as another pipeline here. Okay, in the pipeline, what you do is, in the pipeline job, what you do is, you would define the same phases. You would define the same phases, but not through UI, but through you code. Okay, but through code here. Okay, you would define the same phases like you know same phases here, but through code here. And even through code also, there are two types of a code that you would be writing if you want to define a pipeline here. One is declarative pipeline, another one is scripted pipeline here. Okay, If you want to define all these phases via code, there are two ways. One is declarative pipeline, another one is a scripted pipeline. When you say declarative pipeline, what will happen? Okay, what will happen is you would be writing some kind of a code here. Let's see. One minute. You would be defining some pipes here. I'm just writing off all this information now. Here, what you do is you will write a declarative pipeline with this one. You will start with pipeline block, something like this. First, you define, okay, I'm writing a pipeline here. And the second thing is you have to define agent. Okay, agent block. Any you have to mention it here. Okay, and the next one is you have to define stages block. For example, if you want to define, let's start with this here only. Next thing is I'll talk about the agent part later because it may confuse you if we start directly here. And the next thing is you have to define the stages. Stages means, or here we refer it as a phases here. These are the phases. You would be defining these phases, but in case of a pipeline, what we'll mention is as a stage. Stage. My stage is, let's define here. General stage. Let's define the same thing. General. Okay, this is another stage. Under the stages block, sorry. It has to be inside this block. Okay, under the stage block. Under the stages, I do have almost, where is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can define with the same name or you can define on your own name. Another stage I do have is stage is SCM configuration. And there are a couple of commands you would be mentioning what are all these. Okay. For example, my pipeline having only 2 stages, general information and everything. Okay. Now let's define what this stage contains. Here you are just displaying some information in the general section. Okay. Since this is a Groovy, right? This is a Groovy, and now we want to write some kind of a statement, or if we want to print some kind of a information, what we do is, in general, we use a module called sh. Whatever you want to print something on a command prompt or terminal, you would use a sh module. If you want to deal with a module related to GitHub, you would use a Git module here. If you want to deal with something related to writing some code, accessing a HTTP request, you would use a HTTP client module. If you want to deal with something related to, for example, Python, right? You would use a Py module. If you want to execute something related to WebSocket, there is a respective module will be present here. WebSocket. Okay. If you want to use some information about, for example, AWS related, AWS CLI commands, you would use a AWS CLI command. I mean, these are the modules that we do use based on our requirement. How do we know, sir, these are all modules, what modules we should be using? For example, you got a requirement saying that, hey, Kaushik, please write one pipeline. Your pipeline should be able to list out all the S3 buckets in AWS services. Or if you want to, you got a requirement saying something like you have to create a or else you have to create a one tar file which compresses all the logs from last 1 month to till date. So you would require something. So at that time you would use a sh module again. Sh module you would write some tar xvf something, and then file name dot tar, and the logs that you want to compress it. Okay, like this, you have to find what are all modules present. How do we find? Again, go to the plugins and then find what are the plugins related to Docker. Go to the find the plugins related to the WebSocket. For example, Jenkins plugin WebSockets. There is a plugin related to the WebSocket here. That is something information here. So this guy, he is only the guy who has written something related to the WebSockets here. Okay, and that too, he has been suggesting to use this one part. Okay, so and even you can integrate something, all the information here. So like this, you have to find the respective information here. Jenkins Docker plugins. Okay, Docker Jenkins plugin. And for example, this is the plugin name Docker. This is the description. And this is how to you use. You can directly, if you want to mention any of the configuration related to the Docker, you would be defining the Docker options, and then you defining multiple Docker stages here. And then, I mean, you'll go to the document, you'll get to know how to use these commands. Now I'm saying WebSocket something like this, right? It may have something different based on the plugin. So like this, you would use these kind of modules or statements in any stages of entire this pipeline here. Okay, for example, you can use the same thing in this stage also. So like this, you would be defining all the information or all the statements in these stages like this. And then finally, what you do is you will copy this entire code and put it in the Jenkins pipeline. So this way we will get to know what exactly is this. Okay. Now what we do is, now let's understand. I mean, this is a basic structure of a pipeline. It will have a pipeline block. Under the pipeline block, we'll have to define agent. Under the agent, we have to define the stages which required, how many stages. This is a mandatory. For example, if someone asks you or if someone share your resume, what you do? First, you will put your your name and then contact details and then summary about what experience do you have, and small information about, and the next one is a project information, and then skill sets. You would be mentioning that those are the sections in your resume, right? In a similar fashion, if you want to write pipeline, first you have to define a pipeline block. Under the pipeline block, you have to define agent. Under the agent, after the agent, you have to define how many stages you required. So this is a standard, this is a mandatory. It's like you are learning some other new language, right? You will have a set of instructions to follow. Similarly, while writing a pipeline, this is something you have to follow when you are defining a declarative pipeline. Okay, now let's talk about the scripted pipeline. In the scripted pipeline also, you would be defining something called node here. Under the node block, you would be defining again stages. Under the stages, you would be having multiple stages again. Okay, something like that. Exactly the same thing, only the basic thing is pipeline will be different. Here we are using a sh module, git module or something, right? Here we would be using a different. We will be writing a, directly a kind of a groovy language. We have to learn a groovy language in order to write a scripted pipeline. So we won't be requiring these extra modules. Okay, this is how the basic difference between a scripted pipeline and declarative pipeline. If you find any of the job in organizations, right, or most of the companies will be using a declarative pipeline. The scripted pipeline was the first initial state. I mean, not like I mean, when Jenkins was published as open source, only one option if you want to write a pipeline is the only scripted pipeline. it is kind of a required a one separate separate language learning, and it required a learning curve. So what they have done is they have simplified by providing another option called declarative pipeline. Instead of writing entire native groovy language, what they have done is they have given a kind of a framework where you can follow all this with a simplified method, not to learn any of the new technology like groovy for the scripted pipeline. That's how they have publicized. Now, if you take any of the organization, most of them, they'll have a declarative pipeline. Okay. So in order to, okay, I hope, is this clear? I want a confirmation, guys. I want a confirmation. So now we will go deep dive. Like, this is the basic structure of this. Now let's understand. Now let's understand this. These are the informations. Okay. Meaning, see, this guy is saying same thing, whatever I just mentioned here, because we followed this only. First, under the pipeline block, you define remaining of the blocks. Okay. So those are, first you would be defining an agent, and then stages. After stages, you would be defining what of each stage. For example, all these as they have mentioned here. Okay. Is it clear, guys? Okay. What is meant by agent any here? Okay. See, Naveen, agent is here, as I mentioned earlier, this is your Jenkins machine, meaning this is my virtual box. Under the virtual box, I do have a Jenkins installed on 80804. Okay. You have to understand is whenever you create a job or whenever you do a build, right, what will happen is it will run the particular job on this mission only. Okay. This mission only. Meaning within my VM, my job will be running. My job means whatever the jobs that I've configured, like cloning it, running MVM, compile and all, everything, right? Everything was being running within this mission. For example, some environment organizations, whoever is having a heavy workload, what they do is they will create a separate mission called a slave or agent. Okay. Meaning this is a Jenkins master and this is a Jenkins slave. Okay. This is a master slave architecture, we could say. Meaning, if you this master slave architecture you would be facing or you would be hearing almost in most of the cases, especially when you are dealing with the high amount of volume of data or high amount volume of jobs. If you have a high workers, I mean, if you have a heavy workers, meaning your Jenkins master or your organization using your Jenkins master for every purpose. Every purpose means, for example, your master is not able to handle such a huge request. You have to scale it up. Instead of creating another master, you have to create another mission called as a slave. And this slave is only responsible for running a jobs, not for managing the other tasks. Okay. What you do is you are distributing your jobs or workload to from master to slave here. So instead of when you run or when you configure a job, when you are building it, instead of running the master node, what does it do is it will run on the agent or it will run on the any. So the workload on the master will be reduced. It will be giving you, for example, when you join an organization, your manager's responsible is managing the team members, not for doing the work like what you are doing it. He's not the responsible for writing a pipeline. He is the responsible for manage the team members and ask the team members to write a pipeline. Okay. So if he is writing a pipeline again of as a manager, of course, there are some situations they have to write it, but still his main responsibility is managing the team and then make them arrangements of all the requirements to be clear and get share the requirements and get delivered by them. That's it. That is the response. Okay. Here also in the in the master mission, it will manage but not running the actual job. Okay. So it will, the slaves has to be run here. Now the coming to your point, when you mention agent any, what does it mean is you are saying if I have a multiple agents here, choose any of the agent randomly. If you ask, sir, I don't have any agent at all, so what is meaning then? This is a mandatory statement. You have to define agent any. You have to define it. If you don't specify agent part at all, your pipeline won't work at all. Okay, it will have some kind of issues because it doesn't know where to execute. Of course, it know where to execute in the pipeline itself, but this is a syntax or this is a mandatory instruction that everyone, I mean, Jenkins pipeline has enforced us to mention agent. For example, you have a 3 agents here. Jenkins slave 1, slave 2, or for example, as we mentioned here, this is a Windows slave, and this is a Linux slave 2, and this is something like Linux DB slave 3, something like this, right? So if you want to define, for example, now whatever the pipeline that you are going to write, if you define something like instead of me here, right? What you do is define agent again under this label here. I want to run. Okay, where is this? Yeah, yeah. And I want to run my job under the Windows one. So this is where I would be mentioning Windows slave one. So this pipeline will be running on the this particular slave instead of, I mean, this particular agent instead of other 2 agents. Okay, this is meant. I hope it is clear. Naveen, is it clear? But if you ask me, sir, that is how where you define your Jenkins job. I mean, that is where you would be defining about an agent in the pipeline. But how about a freestyle job, sir? Meaning here. So if you ask me, there is a something called under the general restrict where this project can be run here. So this is the play. This is an option where you can specify which agent or where this particular job has to be run here. Here I'll be defining Windows slave 1. So this is how my job will be running on the particular this agent with the label. Okay. Okay. This is one thing. Okay. So now let's try to understand and execute it this here. Okay. Let's go to our pipeline syntax here. So if you ask me the same thing, whatever we have just defined here, okay, why I have taken this as an example is this is even if someone want to new to this Jenkins, right? This is the one they will give you. So if you understand this particular clear, right, we would be defining all this information here. Okay, let's write the same thing here. So I'm sharing my screen with the Visual Studio Editor. Okay, generally, or else let's do one thing. We will be directly writing all the information here itself. I mean, in the Jenkins server itself. Okay, new item, or let me do this thing. Let me create a separate view here. Pipeline jobs here. Okay, this is a list view. Under this pipeline jobs, Okay, here. Meaning, so I have created, generally we would be creating a views like this: production jobs, dev jobs, and staging jobs like this. Based on environments, we will be creating this sections like this. Okay. Now under the pipeline jobs, I'll be creating a new item, which is a pipeline type. And this is a, for example, my project is a, for example, let me do this one. Okay. Um, rat 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 pipeline. I mean, rat is one of the, for example, take one of the project name. Okay, this is a type of a pipeline, and I just selected it here, and then okay, what job already existed with the rat pipeline? Who has created the rat pipeline? I don't know, but fine. Okay, here, once you created a pipeline, you would the information. This job is for deploying the MVN built on dev server. Okay, and this is a GitHub project. I don't find of all this information because everything, whatever option is there, everything will be writing through script only here. Okay, you can directly come here and then start you writing here. Pipeline, open parenthesis block here. Okay, if you don't find any of the issues, or if you find any of the issues, right, you can directly use any of the existing structure. It will give you the basic structure, like the how you need to define and everything here, and you can use it directly away. Okay, here in the pipeline section, I just defined agent. Under the stages, I do have a multiple stage called hello. Instead of hello, general info. And in this one, I just want to print echo. Means echo is another command I can use, or else simply I can use sh echo hello world. I can give like this. So what does it mean is, to print this or to execute this statement, use the sh module, meaning the value that you are giving within a single quotes will be used by the sh module, or will be executed by the sh module here. Sh means it will execute that and the terminal or command prompt of a Linux. Okay, this is one thing. If your Jenkins, or if you feel like if your Jenkins job is running on the Windows machine, you would be mentioning a bat, which has been a terminal or command prompt in the Windows. Currently, my Jenkins is running in a Linux VM. So my module, which I'm going to use sh here. Okay, this is the stage here. And the next stage, what I do define here is
Hello.
stage. Yeah, please.
Yeah, this is Sandhika. Yeah, sorry for interrupt. Could you come down? There will be a pipeline syntax to create a right script, right? That was
This
I
one.
said, huh? So using that,
See, we can use it, but let's first understand the structure of it. Then we will use. This is like how you want to use. As I mentioned here, right? If we want to use something related to AWS CLI, WebSocket, or Git, or SH, right? This one, similarly, if we want to use something related to the emails, so you just select it here, and then it will give you all the information. It is, see, of course, we will teach you definitely, but if you follow this way, what we understand is, for example, something like this and something like this, it will auto generate your script here itself. So you would copy and paste it, and then here instead of sh and the hello world, right, you would be just defining here, meaning it is using a email text as a one of the module to confirm this guy. Okay. Okay, this is one thing. So this way we will go line by line. If I directly start with this one, right, it may confuse you. For example, let me put this way, another one here. So if I put something like this, this is what you are asking me to teach as in first step here. If I ask you, directly with credentials of this guy, of this Git branch, the Git URL, credentials ID, and everything, right? What will happen is, so do you able to understand what this means? We'll go line by line something. That's what I'm aiming for. Instead of starting directly with this, right? What this is generally, of course, it will definitely helpful you when you don't know how to generate things, or it will definitely handy if you want to generate a particular Groovy script or pipeline script using a particular module. Here we are using a email text module here. Or if you want to handle the error signals, right? You just information from message error signals. You just copy paste this line in your script here itself, wherever you want. So this is how we do use it. But let's first go with the basics. Then we will try some. What do you think? Does it make sense or it's different? At least for me it is makes sense, because right, if someone is learning English, right, if you directly start teaching accent without knowing how to talk a particular statement, it will be difficult, right? So that is what I think. If you want directly start with this, I can directly make it and use it and generate the statements and use it. That's fine. Okay. Okay, under the step here, you would be mentioning again here SCM configuration management. Configuration. Okay, let's use this again for you if you want. Let's see if there is any Git related here. Yeah. Git repository URL is this. Whatever I just pasted earlier, right? This is the one. Where is this? Now let's see how this would be generated. This is a repository URL here. Where is this? This is a repository URL here. And master credentials, use this. And include polling. I don't want this. Include change logs, generate scripts for this. Simply, this is a statement. I can use it and directly put it something like this. This is one way of using it. In the SCM configuration, it is equivalent to, one minute. Let me open our Jenkins pipeline in separate one. This is one, right? It is an equivalent to this one. Git, pasting your repository URL here. And then credentials it. This is exactly equivalent. We just configure this, right? This is same as this one. Okay, this particular statement, git log, and this one. And this is another one where you can clone it using this method. So instead of, you are just mentioning a couple of other parameters other than this, nothing else on this. Because We don't require all other information here. We required credentials along with its use, and even you can also specify branching statement also. Okay. Now let's run. Let me comment out this part also. We may use it for here. Okay. So let's see whether it's able to clone it or not here. Okay. First, instead of this, what I do is what I directly do is this is general info phase or stage. Okay. Now let's save it and then run it. So currently my pipeline have only two stages. I'm building it now. Oh, 2 times it has been triggered. Let's open any of the things here. And it is saying the first one, the pipeline, general info. This is the statement. This is where the pipeline is started with the block. Okay, and this is the pipeline statement here. And then this is the stage called general info, and it is used a statement called echo. This is an output. And the next one is SCM configuration. SCM is not found, it is complaining about. What is that? Script.sh. SCM is not found. Let's go to the back again here. And where is that configure? Okay, before that, if you see here, since we have mentioned the 2 stages, we got these 2 stages. Okay. And this is also one of the questions I have seen, like how these graphical representation will be formed here. It depends on the stages that you define in your pipeline. If you define a multiple stages like this, you would be defining the, you would be getting a graph like this. The horizontal thing is the verticals are the phases of a pipeline. The horizontals are the number of the builds it is happening. Okay. Now let's go to the configure. Now let's go to the configure. Now let's go to the configure. What it is saying, STM configuration here. So what does it problem is, using a shell module, STM configuration is been trying to find out some information. And shell module complaining, I don't know what is SCM configuration. If you give like something like mkdir or cat, some Linux command, which shell module can understand, it wouldn't have been complained here. Since I have given some information here, so that's why it is complaining. So what I can do is echo SCM. I'll just print it. Otherwise, I can use remove sh module and directly do the stuff also. And let's configure again. Sorry, not configure, build now. Okay, again, there is some issue. It seems the same thing. Yeah, couldn't find any revision to build, verify the repository and branch configuration for this job. This guy is saying, but ultimately our this previous error got fixed. Same thing. This guy started. This is where the pipeline started, and this is the script where it is loaded. This is using a stage, and it is used the first stage is the general info, and it is using echo statement, the result out of this echo statement here. And the next stage here, stage ends means double slash means stage ends here. Another stage started, the stage name is SCM config, and the echo of SCM meaning the result out of this echo statement like previously. And it is trying to clone this repository which we have given here. Okay. And finally, it is trying to find all the information. Finally, failed with some error. That error is couldn't find any revision to build, verify the repository and branch configuration for this job. What they are saying is, let me duplicate this session and then verify the code itself. configure. I don't have any faults. So let's add branch also here. Branch called master. Okay. Let's understand whether this main branch. Okay. It does not have a master. Let's use main here. And it required a comma here. So error is gone now. Let's use this, something like it. Now it seems to be succeed. It is trying to clone, and it is, since you have mentioned which branch it has to be pulled, this has been pulled all the information. Okay. Now we have cloned this one. This is a some other application under the server. We do have a pom.xml, right? Okay, again, this is a this one. What we do is, with the same pipeline, we will be creating another stage, right? That stage is called compile build. Okay. In this stage, you have to define wherever you open, you should close the branches, and it has a step called sh. First, I'll go to the CD. CD, because see, the thing is, wherever the pom.xml, you have to execute the mvn commands. Okay, if you execute a maven command on the root directory of this project, mvn command will try to find the pom.xml as in first place. If you execute something, let me put it this way. If you execute mvn compile directly like this, what will happen is it will complain about no such file or directory with the pom.xml. First, what you need to do is you have to tell where the pom.xml. First, go to the server. Under the server, there is a pom.xml. In this one, here also cd server, and then otherwise I can define something like this here. Asset space mvn compile. So this is the mvn compile. Now since we have added another stage, let's save it and run it. Build now. Let's go to this and then open a console output, and it failed it here. What it is saying? See, it is gone inside a server. I mean, this is everything was a previous job only. This is where the changes has been done. The stage it has been started with the compile and build, and it went through cd space server, and it executed mvn compile, and it is trying to compile this guy, and then found some information saying that the goal you specified requires a project to execute. There is no pom in this directory right here. So this is saying clearly cd server. Is it clear? Server. Okay, I think let's do one thing. Let's display what are all been presented under this guy. Configure again. I mean, this is also we can debug information. So it is complaining. I thought it will go inside this one. but it looks like it is not. So I want to know what are the list of all available directories here. So I just put some debug statement here. Later on, I'll remove this. Just based on this, I'll be okay. No. I have to reconfigure something like this. If it goes inside server, I don't know what it is. Before going into CD to SC, server, I'll just display a list of the files and information there. Okay. This is a one thing, guys. Debugging things like if we face any issues, we should be debugging something by adding a single line statement. Okay, and it is fine. And this is still the disk statement. Now this is the stage where the compile and begin starts. Now it is saying, okay, there is a server. Inside a server, okay, it is going inside a server. Why it didn't go to that? Why still it is not complaining it? Why it's still complaining it even though it is doing it? Okay, let me do it again. Configure. I want to see after CD to server also, what are the statements here? And ls-al. Let's add this. Build now. And then the console output. ls here. Yeah, it is saying pom.xml. This is CD server and pom.xml. Then what is this? There is no pom in this directory. Please verify you have invoked this correct one. In this directory. Why it has been doing it? It is looking something under this path. Actually, it shouldn't be doing it out. Let's verify. Configure. Go to this. While we instead of multiple things, we should be giving some context to it. So when it is complaining about there is no form directory code you specified requires a project to execute it. There is no form in this directory. Okay, instead of relying on this, what we do is let's pick another one. Yesterday we used this one, right? Okay, let's clone this guy. Okay, I'm closing multiple things here. This is failed, right? I'm just going to edit it again, configuring it in. I'm thinking sometimes the problems with this guy also here. Instead of this repository, I have used this, and the branch it has is a master, not some other file here. Okay, here we do have a form.xml. It is not a main here, it's a master. And here I don't use this. I directly do compile because I don't need to navigate to CD server or something. Directly save it here. Build now. Open 9 here. Let's say it is displayed all the files it has. And then, yeah, it is started compiling and we're able to read the form.xml. Yeah, I think there is a problem with that project. I think it is a hidden file or there is a space for the pom.xml maybe. But with the other GitHub project, it is able to pick the pom.xml and compiling it. Okay. Under the compiling it, so this is a compilation of the command. Now what I'll do is with the same pipeline. This is a build number 9, right? Let it go. I mean, source code compilation is going on. 9 is also succeeded. Totally 129 seconds. I mean, 129 milliseconds has happened for this general info section. For SCM configuration, 4 seconds. For the compile and build, 16 seconds. Okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll add one more step in the compile and build section itself here. Okay. And what I'll do is main compile install package, or what I do is I'll define another stage called don't define here itself package. Yes, it is. Stage is artifact. It's like a deploy, something like this. Deploy, under the stage of deploy, I do have a multiple steps. The first step is set off sh. But what I'll do is I'll list out target fuller because I want to see whether jars are present or not. Then the command to run a particular jar. Generally, what we do is hyphen, I think jar space target slash some file name will be there. Artifact like this is something. What is this? sonarpet.mvn, right? We'll be defining all the steps here also. Sonarpet. Some artifactory will be coming here. .jar, but we won't. Until we know the exact file name, we won't try because it may fail it. That's why we need to know. Or what we do is we will see. I mean, this is for the deploying it, deploying into the same mission here. I mean, same mission means in the same wherever the job is running, right? In my virtual box. Now, if I execute this command, enable this command, the Java jar something, right? This will run on my local box only here itself. Okay, it won't be running on if we want to do a remote mission, again, go to this pipeline syntaxer here, find SSH module. SSH is a shell script. Okay, now what I'm looking out is SSH plugin. SSH plugin. I mean, SSH related. So I don't find SSH related information here. Okay. What we need to do is we have to install the SSH plugins. We will get all the information or whatever the respective modules, right? You will be getting a list of modules here itself. Okay. And what I want is, okay, let's go with this existing one. Then we will see. Now, main compile, install, and package. So in the deploy, we would be deploying. Just save it. And then build now. Let's wait for temp build to be run here. Console output, compiling it. It's running a test cases. Looks like it is getting failed with the test cases. Let's do this. Ambient install, ambient package. If it does not require, what we do is, okay, it is failure because stage deployed. What does it happen is, fail to execute a goal. The goal is test. I mean, it is trying to execute a test cases. What I do is, in this our pipeline, let's add a skip test. Okay, we'll use a MVN module here. I don't have a MVN here. What I do is, I'll Google it, MVN skip test. I'll use this one. Let's see if that's true. Okay. What does it mean is, if you want to skip test cases related to the Maven project, this is how you would be defining. You can install it. You can directly define and run it. Build now here. Guys, I hope today is free, right? I mean, today is a holiday for most of the guys. Let's spend some more time here. Okay. Okay, now let's click on the click on this, click on this, go to the compile, and see, downloading it. Yeah, skipping the things. And finally, again, it's failed. Failed for what? Failed to execute the goal. Maven war plugin. Apache unable to load the Mojo war file. Looks like it's not able to find one of the dependency of the Java project. Okay, guys, I mean, let's come back. What this issue is, the developers issue now, because the commands that need to be run right, the developers will be sharing with us, and we have to know, or else we can try to give as much as information. What we do generally is, we'll copy this link and share it to the developers saying that, hey dude, we are getting this error which related to the Maven. Okay, and they may rectify it. Generally, in this case, what could be the issue is, while we are doing a package, right? While we are doing an install, it's failed to download one of the Mojo related packages, looks like. So let's retry it by removing installing it. I mean, just what we need is, we just need to know how to get a package. That's it, nothing else apart from that. Okay. Now let's click on this. Success of the configuration is done. Now this is also failed. For what reason? Unable to find again Java OpenUtils. Okay, I mean, so we don't require to be debug all this because this is a developer's issue. But now the problem is, the project which I have cloned will have some issue. That's why it has been this has been throwing an error saying that related to some Maven related issue here. But still try to understand. Unable to make a field private final. See, this is a Java compilation issue. Whoever is wrote a code, right? Apache or something. These guys, they have created a one private variable which they have declared as a final, but they are trying to access in some other way. But it's not possible. But when you define a one variable called a final as a private access variable, you can't able to access by other classes. So this is a Java related terminology. So this is a very clear indicating that as a DevOps person, we don't need to find the root cause of it, but still, as if we know the knowledge, the issue, we can share it and share the information. But if we are not able to find, you can pass it to the developers. Developers will take care and fix it and give it back us. But in this case, the repository which I have cloned has a one access with the code. That code is, it's trying to access one of the private final variable from outside of another class, and it's not able to find it. I mean, it's not able to access it. That is the problem which is happening here. Okay. So generally, this is how you would be defining all the phases like this. Let me configure it again. So like this, we will start writing a multiple stages like this. And another one which I want is artifact. Okay, I want now in this deploy stage, right? We thought of SSH plugin here. Jenkins SSH plugin, or let me pull one more information. Now, there is a SSH plugins, but fine. SSH Jenkins plugin. Okay. This is the plugin name SSH, and this has these vulnerabilities. You have to be very cautious. And the current version is this, released 5 years ago. This is very old Jenkins plugin. It's not recommended to use this plugin. But let's say if you are using it, how to use this. If you want to use it, right, we have to see. It's not how to install something. Yeah. Here, go to the documentation, and then you will find how to use the SSH command. See, some of the plugins would be like this. You won't have a proper documentation also. We have to, before using it, we have to really use it. Another way is go to our Jenkins document, Jenkins, manage Jenkins, go to the plugins, and then go to the available plugins, or first check if there are any of the SSH plugins has been already installed in your machine. Okay, there is a JSCH, which we don't use it. Allow store the SSH credentials in Jenkins, but not SSH things. But still we can see. Okay, what I was talking is JSH, meaning if you want to execute any SSH commands through Java, you require this JSCH plugin, which we don't require for now. Okay, if you are a Java developer and you are looking to log into the remote mission using a Java code, then you require this plugin. But what we are doing is, from a Jenkins pipeline itself, we are executing a SSH plugins. So this is how we do use it. SSH credentials, we don't do that. What I can do is, I can go to the plugins SSH. See, this guy is only telling. See, these many plugins are available related to SSH dealing. SSH 2.6.1 we just seen, and this was released 5 years ago, and that too it has these many vulnerabilities like to CHRF and permission issues. But we don't require of this because it is a very older. These are the some of the parameters you have to look into, like when they have released, whether it is an up to date. If you see here, this SSH server is been up to date, so we can trust this guy. And this is also mostly people will be using artifact uploaders, build tools. Generally, this plugin will be used for artifact uploaders to a remote mission using SSH commands and build tools. And this is a 1 month, 9 days old. You can trust it. This is also one of the guy. So you can install whatever may be useful for you. So you have to go and read each and every plugin, whatever, whether this plugin has the functionality, what you are looking it out. So you would find most of the information here. Okay. Next is, let's install this guy. I'm using two things. I'm fine with that. and SSH agent also. See, SSH pipeline, this is what we require. Jenkins pipeline steps, which provides SSH facilities. Let's read this. Okay. These are the parameters you have to pass it. And how do you pass it? See, this is what you would be giving. Under the stage, you would use SSH command, remote. Remote means the remote host name and the command that you want to execute on the remote mission. So this is how you would be using a remote mission. So what I do is I'll just select this also and then install without restart. Let's wait. Why this is been pending and installing it? Meanwhile, any questions, guys? Let it take it here. So this is another Jenkins fuse pipeline, which would be using it here. Let's install, let's complete the installation of this. Let's install this. Now what we do is, let's see our pipeline has, right? Whether this has loaded with the, where is this? Once completion of done, what we do is we'll reload the page to find if there are any modules will be get uploaded. Let it run here. And then click on this one to see if the recent plugins which we install has loaded with the proper things or not here. So as I said, where is this? I think the plugin that we installed may not have this helper, pipeline helper, or let's wait for a few more minutes to complete this. Generally, sometimes if you want to get the latest updates, right, we have to restart the Jenkins jobs. I mean, not the job, Jenkins server. So to get a latest documents or some latest plugins and everything, we just clicked on restart here. Dashboard. Under the pipeline jobs. And this is mine one. And then I'll be in the configure. Where is mine? Okay, pipeline one, rat pipeline one. configure, and this is one, right? Now let's load a fresh, which helper would help us to find anything. Build, email, SSH, parallel, pwd, script, shell. Yeah, see, these are the things has been there here. Okay, SSH command, SSH publisher. So generally publisher means you can use any of the things. See, most of the things are the same thing, like SSH command, where you want to deploy something or where you want to execute some commands on a remote mission via this pipeline, you can use this. It will ask you, okay, so simply generate a script, it will tell you, and then give something SSH commands generally. Instead of this, we should be using SSH command. It should be editable. I don't know, but still we can take a reference from here. So SSH command, remote is nothing but all the information. There is a property you have to define, that remote.name, remote.test, remote.host, remote.user, remote.password, allows true, all the configurations you would be using it. Okay. This is how, if you want to use the plugins. Where is it? This is one thing. Let's see if there are any other SSH commands. Public get directory, send a build artifact over SSH. If you want to do something, right? Say this is how it has been asking. It has to show you what is name, credentials. So username is, for example, my server name is, okay, it's not populating. Actually, it should populate here, but fine. Transfer, what is the source file? Here you would be mentioning, actually it should populate the list of the SSH servers we have configured under the global configuration. Since we did not added any of the SSH servers, it's not showing anything, but it's fine. Let's generate the script, then we will edit it. For example, my name is username and password is this. I don't have any key, and the file is under the target. If my build is success, under the target, there are some jars. Please copy all the jars to remote directory /home/ my remote mission home directory will be under Ubuntu. For example, Narendra, or it could be /opt. This is the remote repository where I want to copy. Okay, and the command is I want to copy this. That's it. And are there any things? That's fine. And let's generate this. This is the command to generate, to publish something like this. There is a lot of information here. SSH, if you are using SSH publisher plugin in your pipeline, this is how you would be using it. Okay, let's copy and paste it here. Let's see this. Assuming our compilation is successful without any Java issues, and if you want to use it directly, this is how we do use it. SSH publisher, the config name is something like this. SSH credentials, this is the credentials, this is the username, and this is the transfer files you have to use. A lot of things here. Okay, and let's see other SSH related plugins here. SSH, okay, SSH script directly. Generate a simple like this. SSH scripts here. We directly see same thing, whatever has been earlier. But there is a something else, SSH only. I mean, the script, like there is a one plugin. You don't need to execute all this. I mean, let's see, let's copy this. If you want to use this guy, right, you have to define something like this first. Under this, first you have to define your remote host name, for example, DB server. domain host name is something like this, 192.168.1.1 or 239, and this is my host name. Username is Narendra and password is let it be password. And I want to write some files called abt.sh and then execute something. I mean, this is just a script. Okay, you would be using it out. Under the stages, you would be defining directly like this. We don't require of all this. Something like this. You would be using a modules called write file and SSH scripts. So this is how you would be using it to the copy the mission. I remembered I have used another plugin instead of all these, right? Simply there is a something like, okay, there is another ways. Instead of using all these kind of a plugins, you can directly use a SSH module called SH. Same thing like where we do execute ls or mkdir, right? SSH space. How do we log into remote mission? Username, for example, Narendra at the rate IP address 19.168.1.239. And yeah, this is where we would be using. And after that, it will ask me the password. My password would be echo password 5 symbol. It will ask me the password and everything, and then log in. If I want to copy the remote mission directly SCP, I can use directly SSH commands using a shell modules here. SCP abc.or target. Under the targets folder, I do have all jars here. Jar slash my mission name. I want to copy at this 192.168.1.239 of this path home/Narendra. So all jar files under the target folder will be giving passing it. Of course, we have to pass some passwords here actually. Echo sample password, and this is the one. So you would be using direct commands like this without any plugins by using a directly shell module itself. Okay. If you want to use any specific plugin like this, you have to know how to use that plugins and then use it. Okay. So this is how you would be defining your plugins. Similarly, before going things, is it clear, guys? Any questions or is it confusing you? But the basic thing is this is how we do how we do write and doing. But of course, we are not doing this in this editor. We would be writing or we would be using some editor like Visual Studio or Atom or some other editor to auto suggest a couple of things in the while writing a pipeline itself. Okay. If you're if you're using a Visual Studio editor, if you install some extensions which will auto suggest the entire code, so that is one way of doing it. Okay. Any questions, guys? There is a one more pipeline which I want to explain you, which will deal with the deploying the things as a Docker image or deploying things into a remote mission also. While deploying means now compilation is done, build is done, package is done. Now the next thing is deploying things. Deploying things will be happening in a two ways. From your pipeline, this is a remote mission. This is your pipeline. By using this pipeline, you do a remote SSH and then copy the artifacts and then run the jars, run the commands to run a particular jar or deploy a jar. This is one way of doing it. Otherwise, deploying the Docker image instead of copying SSH will directly deploying the Docker images. These are the two things. for this Jenkins learning, I want to show these two aspects, because nowadays if you see any of the organization, they'll be deploying their application via a plain jars or a jar files, or they would be deploying as a Docker containers. Docker containers. Don't worry, even if we did not learn about the Docker, you just need to know a Docker run command and Docker compile. That's it. These are the two things we require in order to understand this issue. This particular use case. Okay. But definitely, for sure, if you are attending an interview, you can explain this entire process. If someone asks about a Jenkins, how to deploy and all the things. Okay. Any issues? Scripting is somewhat confusing to understand. Meaning, see, of course, this is a starting point, right? It will help you. Initially, we'll feel the same thing, but generally, when you try to read some of the existing Jenkins pipeline, you'll easily understand. Now, I'll share you a couple of other things also. But by the way, I forgot to share, means there are some Git exercises I have to pass of you guys here. Okay, and I'll share you these things. How can I share this? Okay, I'll pass this to Sandeep, so he'll share you guys about these Git exercises. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, what I was telling is, let me share you a couple of Jenkins files. So please go through that and try to understand. Files, GitHub project. Okay, under the pipeline examples, there are multiple projects here. And this is answer. Here is Jenkins pipeline. Okay, if you see here under the Jenkins folders, these are the individual projects: Android build, Flyover, MS build, Node.js build, SonarQube. These are the individual projects. Each individual project will have its own Jenkins file. For example, if you take about a Node.js project, this is one of the Jenkins files they have written. What are the steps it is involved? If you see here, they have written a scripted pipeline, not a declarative pipeline. But still, you can understand. Let's understand. They have a stage called test. They are initiating some environment variables, executing a node hyphen-version, npm prune, install, test, and building a Docker. They are just directly using a Docker build.sh. They are executing some shell script, and then they are deploying it. For that, they are deploying using a shell script. If you open this shell script, they understand. What they have done is, instead of whatever writing everything here, right? For example, if you put in a shell script and then executing that shell script is the same thing. This is what these guys are doing here. Let's understand these guys also here. Is this under the Jenkins? Oh, where is the path here? Dot docker push dot sh. Dot means in the current directory only they should have their pipelines, but other scripts, but I don't know why they have not done. But let's see the SonarQube Jenkins pipeline here. See, they are just simply saying a Gradle clean SonarQube, meaning mvn clean the folder directory. This is how they have done it here. Let's take this one Jenkins example. See, this is again a scripted pipeline, stage build. They are just building this is how they would be accessing environment variables here. Okay, this is the Gradle project, not a Maven project. This is how they would be staging artifacts, meaning copying artifacts to somewhere. This is how they would be executing it. Okay, and let's see if there are any other declarative examples. Yeah, this is what we have been looking out. Simple credentials, Groovy, yeah, pipeline environments, agents, any. stages, how many stages it have. It's just displaying it. You can try to play around of all this, because this would definitely help you. Looks like this is a huge things. Jenkins examples. Let me go to this declarative examples. Under the declarative examples, you do have a lot of things here. Something. Yeah, see what they are doing is, instead of giving agent any, they are using some Docker images. We will see that also. But I could say this is a pretty much very informative if you want to read out it. Okay. If possible, can you keep one more session on it one day? Yeah, sure, Naveen. We'll definitely do that. I'll explain as I promised earlier, right? I'll show you one of the consultancy which I've been working, right? I have created a pipeline that is for deploying a Docker image as well as a jar file also, that we will be dealing with that. In that thing, right? We will learn few things which are very important. How to parameterize your Jenkins job pipeline, and then how to trigger that with the webhooks from a GitHub. So you will learn all this stuff. But I would recommend you guys to take a look at this. This would, don't do it. Don't take a rest actually. Take a half an hour break or a 1 hour break, and then come back and then see. Come back means I won't be there. We won't have any session. Read this, open this URL, and then try to go each and navigate each and every folder, and then understand what they are doing it. Okay. And then write a questions, and then come, let's meet on the next class, meaning tomorrow. And then let's discuss the questions. Okay. So this way, this would be more interactive, and you would be having a good experience also. I would suggest you please go through each and every project here, what they are doing it. I'm sure, I hope this would be a good way of learning. Everyone would be following, at least I would be following it. And even if someone will ask you an interview question, like if I give you one language which no one knows, for example, if I ask you to learn some new tool or new coding language, how do you prefer? What is your feelings? This is also one of the behavioral, techno manager behavioral questions. Like they want to understand if there is any chance to learn any new technology without any help, right? How do you react? They will really, take more priority for these questions, because not like sometimes, most of the times we get scenarios like when you join a company, they may ask you to learn some new tool. Okay. If they ask you to give some training, what they give you is they will give you some couple of videos and documentation. You have to go through it. So what you need to do is you have to go through the documentation videos, and then try to get your hands dirty with by doing success and failure. And then you have to tell all these statements in your interview question if they ask you such kind of a questions. Okay, this is what we are doing now by reading open source project and understanding the existing other source code, other developers, other DevOps persons have written, right? So this is how we learn a lot of things. If you tell answer like this, or if you're explaining what you are doing for the such kind of questions, they will really be good at you. I mean, they'll have an eye on you. So they'll be, it will be positive. Trust me. Okay. Yeah. So this is what I want to share you today, and I have shared you the declarative examples. Let me share you a couple of other things also, because the declarative pipeline examples. What you do is you just go to the okay. I'm just giving you one more thing which is there what we have discussed, like each and everything syntax, how to do that, what is each line will do, right? This would give you a good documentation about what is that. Okay, this is simple README documentation, which will have a clear explanation what it is and everything. I mean, just only code and just one line of a description what it is doing. That's it. I would really recommend you go through these two. This would really helpful. Please note down the questions if you have, and then the next class we'll discuss it. And when we are discussing the questions, right? Please have a links handy. So I mean, sometimes if we don't get a clear requirements, what we do is we'll ask you to share a screen and then show me the issue. So that will give a more context to solve the issue. Okay. Yeah, this is it, guys. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, Naveen, we will spend one more class on this because this is an important other parts like navigating and accessing the web UIs, everyone can able to do that. Here is the key important understanding the pipelines thing, right? And one more suggestion is open a notepad and try to write it on your own without seeing any code. Of course, you can take a help of syntaxes, but still, I want open a clear notepad and start writing a pipeline block under pipeline block, agent block, under that stages block. So this would help you. Okay. Okay, guys, this is it good, and we have taken up pretty much of half an hour time extra today, and that's fine. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you.